talk about mules, and we're going to talk about mules. What about donkeys? You like them both? Yeah.
Well,
Guess
woof 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 woof. That's how Jess introduces the program. I'll
what?
introduce it for all of the uninitiated. I'll introduce it, and all the dogs out there. They know what time it is. But you people, we need to interpret for you people. It is mule and donkey time. We're talking mules and donkeys with the one, the only, the one who will call you on the phone when you make a purchase, Mr. Steve Edwards. How's it going, Steve?
Hey, it's awesome, man. Awesome day. Uh,
It's
we got this stuff out here in the air. It's blue sky, blue sky, and it's 81 degrees. Yes, sorry. I had to wipe the dust off my windshield this morning.
You're making people around the world jealous right now. And in fact, it is around the world. We go international almost every single episode. So you're making folks jealous around the world. And look at that. And to boot, you got your come along coffee.
Yes, sirree. Yes,
Woo.
sirree. You can't make it through a day with at least 6 cups.
Well, for those who are new, they haven't heard this. The folks who have been watching for a while, they'll say, "Oh, I've heard him say that." My rule for coffee is I get 1 cup for every child that bears my last name. And if, just if, it winds up being an extra special day, I include all of my nieces and nephews in that as well. So usually it's a 3 cup day. Sometimes it can go up to as many as 11. No, I would never do 11 cups, at least not knowingly. Folks, we are wired on Come Along Coffee. We're ready to talk mules and donkeys, and we are so glad that you are here. We know you could be doing a lot of different things, but on this day, you are here doing this thing, and so I would invite you to fully participate. To do that, there's 3 things that we ask. First and foremost, that you share your name, where you're watching from, and what the weather is like today. That's how we know you. That's how we greet you. That's how we recognize you. All of us have dignity in being created. We bear God's image, and to be able to say hello to you would be a great privilege. So give us that opportunity. Share your name, where you're watching from, what the weather is like in your neck of the woods today. The second thing is that you help us make this program awesome. And it's really simple. There's really only one thing you got to do to make the program content awesome, and that's ask your questions. And a lot of times it's easy to think, well, might be a stupid question, or they've probably already talked about this, or I know they already talked about this and I forgot what Steve said. It doesn't matter. Here's the deal. We have hundreds and hundreds of these programs available for replay online, and there's no way that any one person is going to be able to watch all of them. But that person may watch this one, and they'll hear your question, and they'll hear the answer that you got, and it just so happens that's the exact same question they had. And so you're going to be benefiting them and yourself and your animal, to say the least. So your name, where you're watching from, what the weather's like. Second thing, ask any and every mule or donkey question that you got in the comment section. And then the third thing we ask is that you share the broadcast. So, Steve, has anything happened in your neck of the woods since our program last week?
Well, other than doing a lot of honeydews and getting things squared like that done, like yesterday, I fixed a hot water heater. I fixed an electrical problem. I fixed the antenna. I had 30 tons of AB put in so I can have the road into my ranch a little bit better because we had this rain and when we get rain around here, it can be you almost got to get your boat out sometimes. But anyway, it only lasts for a couple of short time. But anyway, yeah, I've been pretty busy there. This morning, I went over to my church, and I'm a firefighter. I'm an 8-year volunteer now, and I teach and co-teach, I should say, with Tina from Superstition Fire and AED class. What's AED? Automatic external defibrillator. And what it amounts to is when you have an unusual little deal with your heart that shakes like this, it's out of timing, and it needs to be out of timing. So we teach a class to do that. It's all part of part of my teacher part of me. Dave is I love to teach and help people and this sort of thing. And today we're going to learn a lot on the mules. I got some neat things to show you all, and I got some things to tell you. But it's really, really great. And here it is, folks. Yes, I don't ride as much as I used to in this sort of thing, but if I got plenty to do, my wife of 55 years, she can find me things to do, Dave.
There's plenty that she keeps you working on. And so we're grateful that Susan loans you out to us every Tuesday for 60 minutes. And we'll do our best to make the most of that time. I want to say hello to Sherman Johnson, Norman, Oklahoma, 62 degrees and nice. Polly is watching from Barnesville, Minnesota, 40 degrees above and unbelievably beautiful. I rode last Wednesday, hoping to ride with the group tomorrow, a high of 48. Cowboy Ken is watching from Connecticut, where it's 31 degrees and cloudy. Kathy is watching from a 73 and sunny Houston, Texas. Bucky is watching, saying we have sun and it's warm here in Devore, California. Hey, Steve, thanks for the call. God bless. Let's get started. Going to rain for about a week starting Thursday. So, hey, there you go. Proof that Steve Edwards calls you. Rory is watching from Southwest Ohio. Gloomy, spitting, slushy rain, 36 degrees. That's the Southwest Ohio version of what Steve was talking about. Mario is watching from Central Valley, California. What a winter we are having. One of the mildest on record, in my opinion. 72 degrees, sunny, and it's January 30th. Yeah, it's been kind of schizophrenic out here in Arizona. It's been real cold, and then it's been real warm, and it's been real dry, and then it's been real wet. I like the variety. I'll take it. Sharon is watching from Pennsylvania. Christina is watching from Buffalo, Alberta, Canada, and that means we've gone international. 10 degrees Celsius, muddy, wet, and icy, pure misery. Well, we hope it gets better for you, Christina. Karen is watching, takes us international again. Tamsworth, North Southwest Province, currently 25 degrees Celsius, or for you Americans, 77 degrees Fahrenheit. Thank you. I added that. She didn't say that. I added that.
Okay,
Glorious sunny morning. We meet our mule foals this weekend coming with David Scholl. Okay, so folks, real quick about that. Steve and I have some incredible interviews that are on the Mule Ranch YouTube channel, and one of those is with David Scholl. David brought Moses from where did he bring him in from? Do you remember the originating country?
I think it was Georgia, but I don't remember. It's in the South. The mule's daddy was originally from the oh shoot, not Colorado. It'll come to me in a minute here. But originally came from and out here out west. And I can't, and I don't want to name the ranch, but anyway, it's a great donkey. He's been putting out some beautiful babies, and the neat thing about this, Dave, we need to do another one with him. Especially with him with his babies and stuff. Because remember, folks, David. Remember, I keep telling you all, do this yourself. You can do it. Why depend upon some so-called mule man? And I got some stories to tell you today. Some so-called mule woman or mule person, or just because they've had a mule for 30 years, doesn't make what they're doing for you or what they're telling you right, okay? Or does it tell you that some of these guys can train? And they're still training the old way and still thinking the old way. I don't want to demean them, but look, there's ways to do things better. And Dave, okay, with his beautiful little bride, Di, they went from milking cows, y'all. Okay, get this now. Milking cows, and now they are the number one breeder of mules in Australia. Get that. Okay? Get that. They come over here and spent some time with me over here at the ranch. We went down to Landrada. They've been to a couple of my clinics. I've been there doing clinics in Australia. I've gone there and done clinics. And Dave just started gobbling up knowledge. He already had a decent eye for a fine-looking little filly. You can tell that by seeing him die. No, I mean, I just kidding you. Yeah, but a fine-looking horse and a fine-looking jack, and then he wanted a really nice mule. Yeah. So here you are, folks. There's Dave Shrine, or Dave from Australia, and Dave, yeah, Dave Shrine. There's Dave Shrine. And anyway, they done it, Dave. It's pretty cool. How would you like to say you've gone from nothing to number one thing in Australia? What a deal, huh?
It's really, really cool, their story. I put a link in the comments section to the program on YouTube. I strongly, strongly recommend that you take a listen to it for all of the reasons that Steve just said, and emphasizing the one that he said that you can do this. They had some experience with livestock, but mules and donkeys are a completely different breed of livestock. And they did it. They took what knowledge they had. They were able to apply some of it, but there was a lot of things that they had to learn. And like Steve said, he came out and gobbled it up. So it's a great program. I strongly recommend you go watch it. I put the link in the comments section. Tamara is watching from Queensland, Australia, international again. We appreciate that. Mario's got our first question of the day regarding a lot of bucking of a young 9-month-old mule. Every morning when I go out to train, I halter my mule with the come-along rope. Lead him to train the area and begin the session with walk along in a circle warm-up. Within 10 minutes, he starts tossing his head and looking away. I bump the come-along hitch every time he tosses, and as he looks away, he then suddenly starts to buck around and running and is obviously upset. I then get my quirk whip with a flag and get him moving to show him it's not acceptable. Every time he begins to buck, I wave my quirk flag. Any suggestions of what I'm doing wrong?
No,
Oh, sorry, wrong button.
no,
Here's
no.
some free advice for you, Mario. Free. There we go.
Here it is, Mario, and everybody else. Keep this in mind, all right? Mario, yes, he's doing correct in that here's this mule bucking and jumping and not really paying attention to him under the come along hitch. And yes, he's right by bumping his nose, and yes, he's right by flagging him a little bit. There's nothing wrong with any of those because he's trying to do one thing. Say, mule, come back and listen to me. I want you to listen to me. But Steve, he's bucking and jumping around. Yes, he's 9 months old. Okay? Picture a baby crawling around on the ground and investigating things and looking at things. And then you can also think about this. It's cool weather. It's kind of frosty in the morning. It makes them feel good when they jump around and they buck around and they kick and throw and this sort of thing. It warms them up as well. But they're also having fun. Oh boy, look at me. I get to buck and jump around. But go back. Okay, a 9-month-old is not going to learn like a 3-year-old. We don't have that total brain capability yet. We have play on our minds. I want to go play. Mom, Dad, I want to go play. I want to go play. Got the idea? Okay. And that's all he's doing is playing. Is it bad? No, it's not. Okay. It's when he's walking around, going around, all of a sudden he says, I want to warm up a little bit and have fun. The bucking and the jumping and everything. Folks, welcome to the world of mules. It's okay. I had Bex call me the other day from California. She got a nice young mule that she's working with, and she's enjoying going out and taking them with the come along rope. She says, I got lots of control. But Steve, he reared up on me the other day. Yeah. Well, that was scary. Yeah. There's nothing safe, folks. Nothing easy about being around a mule, a donkey, a horse, an equine. Nothing safe. Okay. Reason she was rearing up is this. Okay. She was kind of in a tight spot. She was trying to get the mule to go. The mule couldn't go left because she bumped him. He couldn't go right because he bumped him. She couldn't back up because she bumped him. So where's the mule going to go next? Either forward and run over top of you or rear up in the air. Most of the time, they'll rear up in the air to get away from you. They're trying to say, no, I'm not going to do this. Listen, how would you like to do this? I want you to picture this now. Picture this, folks. You're trying to do that in a saddle. Yeah. You're trying to keep the mule doing what you want to do in the saddle. You're not safe up there either. And besides that, if you fall off, you're liable to need a helicopter. Okay? So get this in your mind. Spend the time on the ground. I'd rather Bex didn't buy a saddle from me. I'd rather a lot of you didn't buy a saddle from me until you got the control on the ground. When you're able to communicate correctly, control in the very beginning. As you progress, communicate. Communicate slow, moving, easy, quietly. When I take my little mule and I pick up on the rein, Rocky goes, "Yes, sir." Lifts up his head, tucks his nose. Hear that? Important. Lifts up his head, tucks his nose. I say, "Rocky?" He goes, "Yes, sir." I want to go to the right. I don't go like this. I pick up my rein and I go like this. I pick up my rein and I go like this. Or if I want to use two hands, if I need to warm him up a little bit and use two hands, you use direct reining. Direct reining. Okay. Direct reining. Yes. Okay. If I need to do that, I can do that. Otherwise, it's quiet, easy. I barely pick up on the reins. Why is that? Because I've got it on the ground. When I move them on the ground and I move their feet and I get them to stop and stand still and I keep them straight. Hear this? Straightness. I don't want them looking to the right and the left and everything else. I want straightness. Okay. So going back to this, going back to Mario, he's a first-time mule owner, you all. He's a first-time mule owner. So is he asking these questions? Yes. Have I answered them 10,222 million times? Probably, but I don't care. I'll keep answering the questions. I'll keep talking to the Marios and the Bexes or whoever. I want you to get this, you folks, okay? If I thought for a minute that you need to be taking your mule to a trainer, I'd say, go get it done. No, folks, I got more horror stories I can tell you from these so-called trainers that are only interested in one thing, and not one thing, but really here's this. Most of them are only interested in trying to get the mule to ride. And that's not important. Riding is not important. Not important. Listen, it gets your blood boiling and you see them moving around. When you see people in the saddle moving around, you go to an auction and they're moving the mule back and forth and doing all these things. Wait a minute. Why aren't they side passing? Why aren't they picking up the feet? Why aren't they catching them? Tell you why. Most of them's got bad habits. Yeah. And these things that the perfect mule ain't out there. But you can help the mule to be that way. We're going to see that in some videos up and coming here. Hi, Dave. I kind of got off on a tangent there.
No, people love it when you get on the tangents because that means that there's goodness to be learned. There's goodness to be had. The next question we have, this one comes in from Charles, and I think you're going to appreciate this one. I really appreciate Charles taking the time to message in. Charles is 74 years old, says, I have been out of the horse business for over 30 years, and I've never had a mule before. I have been watching your videos for quite a while, and I want to know, do you think I am too old for mules and I should just stick to horses?
Hey, Charles, you and I are the same age, partner. Yeah. Yeah, I'm 74. I'll be 75 August the 3rd. Yep. August the 3rd, I'll be 75 years old. Yep. Kind of taking what the Lord's given me and keep on going. No, don't. You're never too old to work with a mule. Listen, Uncle Bud at 97 years old when he passed away, he was riding up within about 2 weeks of when he finally passed away. Yeah. I know some people that have contacted me just recently that's been in their 80s and they're starting with a mule. Or they've gotten rid of horses and decided they're going to go with mules. Yeah. Wow. So do that. Don't worry about it. 74 years old, no big deal. Okay? Get yourself some education. And the other thing is, you and I don't move like we used to. So stretch, exercise, get ready, prepared. Prepare yourself mentally and physically. Watch the videos out there. There's a lot of YouTube videos out there that you can watch of different trainers and different things going on. Dave, I think we got like 1,200 YouTube videos and Facebook and something like that.
Yeah.
And it's all, I'm going to drop the F-bomb on you, free. Everything. It's all free. Why? I want you to get a hold of this, folks. I'm not going to be around here all day, all for the next however many years. I'm not. Okay. So get a hold of it. Is it you too old? No. Okay. Now, while I'm talking about this, there's a guy out there by the name of Mark from West Virginia who I'm sending a couple saddle pads. I remember, Dave, this last time I had 4 saddle pads and said I was going to sell them. Well, Mark bought saddles and this sort of thing from me over 20 years ago. And I know Mark's got to be somewhere in his 60s, somewhere on there. And Mark rides all the time. He's got cattle that he works and stuff. But I just want to tell you, Mark, your pads are on the way. Check your internet. Okay. Now, Dave, you know who Dave I'm talking about in Texas. Okay. Dave O'Brien, your pad is on the way too. I've got it all fixed up and it's on its way. And then lastly, Steve Brady. Yep. Your pad is on the way too, folks. Now, Steve, what do you do? What is this you're doing? Okay, here it is, folks. I cannot sell things through the store that are used, even my own stuff. The insurance company dislikes it. They don't like the liability of it. So these pads were my personal pads. These pads were pads that see, folks, I don't just take somebody's product and say, okay, here it is, the Whammo pad, use it. No, these are pads that I make a lot of pads. I do different things to them and this sort of thing until I have it right. And what's right? When I see the mule is comfortable, when I see the things are working with the mule, how do I know he's comfortable? His head down, he's relaxed, things like that. So these pads have probably got about 10 rides on them. Yeah. You're thinking only 10 rides. No, these are 10, 12-hour days. Okay. And these pads, like the ones Mark got with the triples, the ones that Dave and Steve got with the heavy duties, good pads, there's not a problem wrong with them. You can see they're different colors than what the other pads were. And I tried these pads. I worked them different things. I even had a couple other guys on Mules use the pads and tell me what they think. See, in other words, folks, I tried to find out what I can do to make them better, and I tried to find out what I can do to make them worse, okay? And so here's these pads. Now, here's the thing about these pads. Yes, they're my pads, my personal pads, and I sold them to them. But I want all 3 of these guys happy. And the reason I say that is this. You see at the end, when you buy things from me, at the end, it says there are no refunds. There's no sending the products back. Okay? Now, completely, usually no is no when that's the end of it. But here's what I want. Just like Dave, just like Mark, and just like Steve, if they're unhappy with my product or they're unhappy with me, I want them to call me. Hey, Steve, this, da-da-da. Okay, let me teach you then, because I have a lot of people who have had horse experience that are used to doing things horse's way. And then I say, look, this is a mule. And this, you have to do this for this mule. Then they have an understanding. It's not like you can just buy my products off the shelf. You can't. The reason I want that is because I want to be able to talk to you, be on the phone, say what I want you to do when you buy my bit. I want you to do this, this, and this. You're not going to find that from anybody else, okay, that I know of anyway. When I tell you that you're buying a bit from me or even a come-along rope or whatever, I've got videos. Plus, I call you and I talk to you. I want you to be happy. So if you're unhappy, with some of my products, you call me. All right? No problem. Let's talk it out. I tell everybody, when you are buying my products, you call me if you got any questions at all. Even if you're mad at me, I want you to call me. Let me work it out. Let me help you. I'm not going to just turn you off and say, stick it in your ear. Okay. You have to be pretty stupid for me to do that. All right. And there might be a few of you that could be. I don't know. Anyway, so, hey, honey, would you get that coffee? And I had my wife get me some more come along coffee. I'm getting some more, Dave. So there we are, Dave. Does that make sense to you?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, absolutely. We want you to reach out. Matter of fact, I'm going to take this moment real quick just to answer one of the most frequently asked questions that we get when it comes to making purchases off of the muleranch.com store. And now lots of folks run into questions about, hey, do I have my saddle situated correctly? Is the pad in the right spot? Hey, where do I have the straps on the belly for the cinches? Those are all questions. You take a picture, send it to Steve. He's going to work with you. But the one that I can help with, Steve, I want to show this to you. This is when people purchase any type of video on the website. Now, when they are on our website, Steve, up here, there's a section that says My Account and Orders. Now, you can click on that. And, Steve, if you're purchasing from muleranch.com, I want you to know this is how you're going to get Steve Edwards' video. So if you're buying your own video, Steve, this is what you do. You click on My Accounts and Orders, and then you go down here, and there's a big section here that says Watch Videos. Now, when you click on that, it takes you to the video library. And not only are you going to see every video you've purchased inside of here, you're going to see a few additional videos that we just automatically include when you create an account at muleranch.com. So if you've purchased anything from muleranch.com that requires a digital video, that's how you access it. And I'm going to do a better job of hopefully once a week, once every couple weeks, just doing a real quick demo on here so that when you purchase, you know exactly what to do. The next question we've got, this one comes in from Janet, and Janet asks, are mule teeth and horse teeth the same?
Yes. Mules and horses and donkeys are all part of the equine family. Okay. They have a hoof, and that kind of puts them, that hoof puts them in that category. Okay. The flight and fright is part of their life. Their teeth, yes. Should you, and here I see this a lot. People just don't take care of the dental part of it. They overfeed their horses, overfeed their mules. Okay. But they don't take care of the dental part of it. Okay. Listen, folks, these mules, donkeys, horses have to grind their food. And it's almost like soup by the time it gets to their gut. Not completely like soup, but it's close to it. And then as those fibers move around in the intestines, what that does is it helps the intestines to digest the food correctly before it goes out the other end. Okay. And creates them little, round road apples. Yeah. And so, yes, you've got to float the teeth. Folks, don't listen to some vet that says he doesn't need it. Yes, if there's a sharp point on that mule or that donkey or that horse's tooth, they are going to be uncomfortable. Every year it should be done. Now, here's your self-exam. You ready? Self-exam. Left hand on the nose, just in front, just behind the nostril. Right hand on the jaw. Take them right, left. Okay? The top one goes to the left, right one goes to the right. The bottom one goes to the right. So right, left. Now I want you to listen and see if you hear a grinding noise, or I want you to feel it. It should be smooth, easy, smooth, easy. Right and left. Go slow enough that you can hear it and you can feel it. All right? Now, there's a deal called the TMJs. We know what they are back here. All right? Just above the eyeball, there is a socket. You'll see kind of a little bit of an indentation. Right in behind the eye, right here. Okay? You push that button right there, you will see that socket all of a sudden puff up like a balloon and back. Every time you touch this, puff up like a balloon and back. Okay. That is telling you if your TMJs are correct. How does that happen where the TMJ comes undone? It can happen with one falling on the ground. It can happen with one wanting to buck. It can happen with one wanting to run off because the lower shelf moves forward, folks, when they drop their head. And those TMJs hang up and it can be uncomfortable. So going back to the teeth, yes, there's not really any short answers when it comes down to learning this stuff. I'm giving you the shortest I can, but yes, they must be done, and use that little right, left with your hands and find out for sure. And find yourself, folks, find yourself a good dentist, find yourself a good chiropractor, and keep your mules happy and your donkeys. Keep them all happy. You can do that very easily, and it's inexpensive.
Awesome. Let's see here. Alma is watching. Actually, Sam, you're using Alma's account. Does Alma know that you're using their account? Make sure you got permission. 56 degrees in Nampa, Idaho. Lane is watching from Lane and Linda. Ooh, sorry, Linda. Didn't mean to leave you out there. Watching from Spring River, Oregon in the 50s, scattered sun, and the snow is backing off. Let's see here. Steve is watching from Delta, Colorado. 60 degrees, unusual, nice for this time of year. Jim is, hey, Jim, you're live. It's good to have you here. Not alive, you're here with us live, although I'm glad you're alive too. Jim, it's good to have you here live with us. Folks, Jim watches so many of the replays that we've got, and he's always just leaving encouraging comments. Thank you, Jim. Watching live today from Western Maryland, 29 degrees. Hey, Mr. Come Along Coffee himself, David Pingelli. Great day here in Georgia. I'm 76 and I plan to ride to the finish. My dad was riding at 85 and I expect to surpass that. Love hearing that. That's awesome. Sharon is watching, says, I have one of those pads. Best pads ever. Thank you, Sharon. Sharon, let's see here. Sharon's funny. This is Sharon O'Hare. She says, folks, where are your thumbs up on the YouTube videos? YouTube needs to know what we will watch. Algorithms, people. I love that. She's watching from Australia, International, Wednesday, 31. Kimberly is watching from Northeast Maryland, 38, cloudy and damp from all the rain. Folks, if you're just tuning in, I want to say welcome. I am so glad you're here. As always, we get together on Mules. We get together on Tuesdays to talk mules and donkeys. My name's Dave. This is Steve Edwards, and we want to hear from you. We would love to know your name, where you're watching from, and what the weather is like right now. Second thing we'd like to know is what mule and donkey questions do you have? Put those in the comments section. We're going to be really excited to take a look at those and do our best to get you the answers you need. And then you can share the broadcast with friends or family by clicking the like or share button or just by tagging them in the comment section. Steve, let's go to talking a little bit about, we can choose Surcingle or we can choose Come Along. Where do you want to go first?
How about we do Surcingle first?
All right, here we go, Steve. Oh, that's me. Folks. Let's get Steve on here. There we go.
Yeah. Okay, folks, do you see this mule going? He's in a surcingle, okay? And he's going around in a circle. He's moving around on his own. Nobody is pushing him, but look how fast this mule is walking. Now, what else? This is a happy mule. Look at his tail. Tail's hanging all nice and loose, flopping in the wind. Look at the ears, alert and happy. But look at the framed up, folks. Framed up, balanced, top of his hip, top of his wither, top of his head. You see that? That's a happy mule. That rounds out the back. That drives the rear end up underneath that mule. And that makes that mule comfortable because his back is rounded out. It's the backbones are like this. They're not like this. Okay, now notice, wait a minute. There's nobody on his back, you all. Well, how come that mule's able to do that? Because This mule is set up to win. Notice the surcingle. Notice the breeching. Y'all do that? Notice the bridle. Nobody's on this mule's back to tell his head, get down. Nose, get on the vertical. Nobody. So what's happening? The bit, the bridle is working. The bridle is working, you all. This is my mule rider's martingale, and this mule is walking around on a string on the bridle, and the rein itself is barely there. Notice how loose the reins are. Do you see that? There's no pressure. It's not making the mule do it. It's just that as the mule is walking, for him to be comfortable, he is getting his head down. For him to be comfortable, he is getting his nose on the vertical. Listen, folks, what's all the good things about this? When he's down from the shoulder to the tip of his ears, when he is down, guess what happens? That rounds out his back, gives him a nice feeling. What's that do for the rider? Gives the rider a nice ride. Gives the rider a mule ride. Look how this mule is walking. He's very lateral when he's walking. Look at that. Left rear, right, left front. Left rear, right front. You see how that's moving? That left rear kicks the left front and it goes on. Do you see that? Watch it. Left rear to left front. You see that? That makes that nice single foot walk. Now, what have I been telling you all this time? Why are you in the saddle? Why? Okay, why not train your mule to where he already understands how he's supposed to be walking? He already understands where his nose needs to be. He already is happy because look at his tail. Look at his ears. Ears are kind of flopping and up serious and flopping. And he's a happy mule. Mules want to work. Mules are Republicans, Dave.
Oh, seeing double right there. Ooh.
Yeah. So they want to work. They want to do things. They don't want to be in a corral. If you train them to do that way, they'll be in a corral. But let me teach you something. Let me show you something. Just the other day, we were talking. It was around breakfast, right after church. And we had a dog up underneath us, okay? And this dog couldn't wait for something to fall. And so the one lady asked the owner of the dog, can I give him a little piece of this bacon? He says, yeah. If you tried to hand Jess a piece of bacon, he won't take it. He'll turn his nose away. If you try to hand Jess one of those doggy bones, he'll turn his nose away. Why is that? Because of his training, his foundation. You can even, folks, you can teach the mule to eat on command. Yeah, you can. They can. I tell Jess, go do your business. He'll go over and hike his leg on a bush. Jess, go get a drink of water. Jess will go over and get a drink of water. Jess, Ranger, he jumps in the Ranger. Jess, truck, Dad's truck. He jumps in the truck. Why is that? Because of the foundational training, folks. Listen, the small things are what make the big things comfortable. Now, I want you to see this next picture. Notice the mule. Nobody on his back. See how he's traveling. Okay? See how he's going. Now watch this video here. Dave will pull it up here in a second. Look, what are we seeing? What are we seeing? The same thing. Look at that loose, quiet tail. Do you see that? Okay. Do you see the head down and nose on a vertical? Yes. Is this guy a professional trainer? No. He's a good guy having a good time. And watch this. Yeah, but look, folks, look. What did you see in the arena? This. Okay? Now the guy's up there moving his hands and stuff around, but where is the mule's head? Nose is on the vertical. Head's a little bit high right now, but look at the loose flopping tail. Okay, y'all see that? Look, somebody's on his back and somebody's not on his back. Do you see how foundation training makes a difference? I want you all to see this, okay? It ain't worth it to go riding if the mule isn't right. Why go make the mule unhappy? Okay? Why make you unhappy when you hit the ground and break something? Okay? Look at that. The guy's having a great time. Okay? You know, Steve, how do you know he's not a trainer? I can see his basic equitation. Here's what us guys tend to do. We slouch. Okay, look, he's slouching. Okay, now he's going to make a good rider because he's going to watch this and go, oh, shoot, right, I'm slouching. What should I be doing? I should be throwing my shoulders back and I should be sitting straight up in the saddle. That sets me centered in the body. Okay, and when I'm leaning over, I'm putting pressure. Listen to this, folks. I'm putting pressure upon the shoulders and the scapula. When I am standing straight up and down, my heels down and my toes up, I throw my shoulders back. I am now setting my equitation. In other words, how I present my body to the mule, how I set up and down in that saddle, I can get a finer ride. Us guys tend to slouch. That's why we're better off in an unpadded seat rather than a padded seat. A padded seat makes us go forward in the saddle and doesn't make us quite sit quite right. But here's the main thing, folks. What you want to get? This guy, and if he wants to, he can write his name in there and we'll tell everybody who he is. But this guy, evidently his wife or girlfriend or whoever she is, or son or whatever, daughter, is shooting video of him going. Look at him enjoying his life. He's riding along. The mule already knows how to frame himself up and balance him. Now watch, folks. I want you to go out there on the internet and watch all these riders. Watch them all. They look like a cowboy. They got the cowboy hat on. They got the chaps on. Yeah, okay. But where are they? The head's up in the air. The tail is sucked up, and there's no breeching, no rear. Oh, and anyway, pathetic. Watch it, folks. Do you see how fast that mule is walking? Everybody says, oh, that breeching gets away. No, it don't. No, it don't. That breeching foundation sets up that mule, okay? So I want you all to see that. I want you to see that. What he got on the ground, he now has in the saddle. Did y'all hear that? What he got on the ground is what he's got in the saddle. Don't short this stuff. It's not important to go ride. And we're going to talk about this again here in just a few more minutes, okay? Whenever Dave cues me to do that. And so I want you to see, if you spend the time to let the mule learn without you messing with him, set him up with the surcingle, and he said the halter first, and then you go from the halter. Why the halter? Because mules and donkeys learn from their nose first. Now, is this the only time he's going to surcingle? No. The rest of your life, the rest of the mule's life, the donkey's life, okay? And if you have lower standards, the rest of the horse's life, okay, you got to use a surcingle all the time. My wife's mule died at 28 years old. Wonderful mule, Stacy was. Wonderful mule, okay? Absolutely flawless. Why? Because I kept her tuned. Even though we'd be gone 4 months, 5 months out doing seminars all over the United States, all over the world, we'd come back. I didn't just climb on my mules. No. I spent the time on the ground first saying, do you remember come along hitch? Do you remember surcingle? Do you remember mule riders martingale? You got the idea? Do you remember halter? You understand? And I can get all that done really in probably a half an hour to an hour. But it's important you understand that if you'll build a foundation from the ground, you'll go good. What you got there, Dave?
Awesome. You said something about prompting you. What was the next thing? What did you want to prompt me with? The come along or?
Yes, sir.
All right, let's take a look at that right here.
Okay. All right, folks, look at here. Here's a mule. Isn't that beauty? What's the number one thing that I see that I like? He's got a mane. Yeah, I like a mane on a mule. Okay, somebody's got a mane on a mule. That means they can get a hold of the mane, they can get a hold of the horn, and they can get on their mule properly. Hear that? if you get a hold of the mane and you get a hold of the horn, guess where you're getting up right? You're getting up at the shoulder. When you climb on a mule, you don't get on in the middle of the mule. Okay, that tends to make them move. It tends to make them uncomfortable. And besides that, when you get a hold of the back of the cantle and the horn, you tend to pull the saddle over. Okay, yeah, even my saddle. Okay, mainly because most of you don't adjust the breeching and cinches up correctly, but that's in my video. So let's go back. What's the other thing that I see? Look at that nose on the vertical. Look at them ears, nice and quiet. Look at that eye, nice and big and brown. This is my favorite color, disposition. Do you hear that? See that disposition? Okay, now that disposition, earlier, this firefighter from Colorado, I get to where I know a lot of you. Listen, I can remember a lot of you just by, let's just talk about things. But here it is. This guy's a firefighter. He lives in Colorado, and he's wanting to get his wife and kids into mules. He's got 160 acres back up in the mountains that someday he wants to go and hide. Yeah, if you see what a firefighter sees, it's kind of nice to get off on yourself. And let's go on. Okay. Notice here the come along rope. Notice it's behind the ears at the pole. Notice it's 2 fingers above the nostril. Now, if you really want a color that matches disposition, even the old timers, when you read the old book called The Mule, about a man who took care of all the government mules in the 1860s, he'll tell you that a dark bay with a mealy nose is one of the finest mules you can work with. And that's true. I see that. All right, now let's go back. I got a text from him. And Dave, I think you still got that text, right? Where it talks about the different things.
Which one is it? The
text that says that
tried for weeks?
He couldn't lead this mule. And then
yeah, he says, Steve, I've tried for weeks to get him to walk on the trails by our boarding facility. Every time he would lock up and not take a step onto them no matter what I tried. After 10-second battle with the come-along, he gave up and is now walking next to me and listening. He stopped twice, and all it took was one bump to get going. He went from running away from me in the pasture 2 weeks ago to yesterday he ran up to me. I'm hoping for another good week of solid groundwork and teaching him that I'm the leader. Then I'll be able to get in the saddle. I watched your spurs video and ordered a set for when I start riding again. Thank you for sharing the knowledge you have with these animals. So there you go. That's awesome.
Okay, you hear this, folks? He's tried for weeks. And you can bet at these stables, there are so many knowledgeable people. And I'm being facetious here because they've had 1 or 2 animals and all of a sudden now they got all this knowledge. But that's another story. You do you. You do your thing. You be happy with what you're doing. Be careful of all these knowledgeable people. The YouTube is full of these people. Okay, let's go on. Okay, this guy is a firefighter. Listen to the words that he said. I'm going to work 1 more week with this mule, and then I'm going to go ride. And I've also ordered some spurs. All right. Now I'm going to now take this, and I'm going to put this in firefighter language. All right. Yes, I've been a firefighter now for 8 years, volunteer, and I have seen a lot of unique things. But now let's put it in perspective. I have a fire. Okay. When we arrive, we're seeing smoke and sometimes we're seeing flames. And we arrive in this big red engine. I arrive in my white support truck, lights blaring, everything going, yes. And we start pulling line and we start fighting the fire. Okay. Now, you with me? He is now working his mule and he's using the come along hitch and he's gotten the mule to do a few things for him. All right, back to the fire. we're using water at about 80 gallons a minute up to 100, 110 gallons a minute. So it doesn't take long to burn several thousand gallons of water on the fire, depending on the type of fire. But we have to stay right with it until we start seeing the flames gone. And then sometimes we break out glass and shoot in from that way, or we knock a hole in the wall and we shoot in that way. And sometimes, depending on the situation, we enter. That doesn't happen much anymore, okay? But let's go on. We're back to the mule, firefighter. I hope you're listening to me. You have only just started to fight the fire. You still got flames. What am I saying? Your come along rope, just because you have done it a few times, folks, does not make a foundation. Remember, 3, 6, 9, 12. Remember that. Until you get to doing it 12 times consistently, stopping, going, things like this, you do not have a foundation. Just like the video that I sent him. It shows working with a buckaroo cowboy. Okay, you got that? A buckaroo cowboy up in Montana, and I'm showing him how to work his mule. All right? But it is only the beginning. When I arrived with the engine and we started pulling hose and we started fighting the fire, this come on hitch is only beginning. 4 to 6 hours a week is a lot of training. Listen to this. Ready? Over a 6-month time frame. Okay? Why? Get in the saddle. It's not the important part. Let's first make sure you spent weeks trying to get this done, and now you've made a few steps. Okay? Now the flames are starting to dissipate. And we're starting to see white smoke, where in the beginning we saw black smoke and we saw flames. Now we're starting to see white. Okay, we load up the truck and we go home. No flames. No, folks. That white smoke still tells me that somewhere there is heat. Somewhere there's a possibility of that fire starting up. Now let's go on. Go back to the mule. Okay. Now I hope you firefighters listen to me, especially the one I'm speaking to right now. Okay. You do not leave because the smoke is still there. You do not quit just because you got a few things done. Start challenging the mule. Okay. One of the first phone calls we got was a guy had a young mule, and the mule was jumping around and stuff. He took a flag, which he'd done right, and he started flagging the mule. What did that do? It put pressure on the mule. It made him really uncomfortable. Right now, okay, there's flames and smoke. But once the little mule started paying attention and going easy, then we got just smoke. Now, once the smoke gets done, and we hardly see any smoke anywhere, then listen, folks, we have rehab. Now, firefighter, I know you're listening to me, and I want you to understand what's rehab, okay? And also, when whoever is head of what's going on right now, okay, that'll be the chief. It could be one of the captains and this sort of thing, okay? Until they say the rehab work is done, we've moved stuff out of the way, we're pretty much happy with everything's good, we can't load that truck up and go. Okay, so go back to this mule. When you have put pressure on him and you've gone out and he's pulled away from you and things like this, and he finally gets to the point he's going down the trail, and no matter what you do, yell and scream, and I'm sure that Dave's got some video of me doing this where I'm leading the mule, and all of a sudden I turn around and yell at the mule. I turn around and scream at the mule. I flag some stuff. I put pressure on him because, folks, it's one thing leading Fluffy down the trail, and there's no bears out there to eat me. There's no lions behind the weed. Got the idea? No. When the pressure comes on, folks, Did your foundation work? Just look at that little mule that was going around in a circle with that surcingle. That's not going to be the only time it's going to happen. Okay. So before we climb on and re-ride, you make sure that this mule, you can just barely pick up on the rope and he goes to the right. You barely pick up on the rope, he goes to the left. You hear that? You have no pressure on that rope. You ask the mule to back up and he goes on a light touch. Now we're in the rehab stage. We're in the final stages, getting the fire out and complete so that we can load up and go home and clean our gear. Same thing with this mule. Now you're at a place to where the mule is 110% quiet. He's just as quiet when I begin as when I end. Get that? What does that look like? Head down, nose on the vertical, just like you see in that picture. Like you see him actually in both pictures. The mule is happy. He's quiet. We need that, okay, folks? So I give you kind of a different picture there of a firefighter and the mules, okay? There's a lot of similarities there, a lot of ways. Come on, coffee time.
There we go. So Steve says Dave's probably got one. We've got video of Steve going, ha, ha, get out of here, mule, ha, ha. But it just happens all of a sudden. And so in all these videos that we've got, I've got a really, really small time that he's actually doing this. And so I'm watching YouTube to see if I can. Oh, gosh. Steve, are you okay? Oh, man. All right. We'll give Steve a second there. We'll see if he's okay. All right. So let's get just my screen here. Let's see. I'm trying to get it back to my screen.
I was
Steve,
gagging pretty good there.
Oh, man, you okay? You had us worried. Oh, my gosh.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I really... I got a drink of my coffee, and it went down the wrong pipe. My
goodness.
I even whacked my head there a little bit.
Oh, my gosh. Well, hey. Glad. Hey, you've got that honey-do list that you've got to do, and Susan's coming out there saying, "Hey, you've got some stuff we need to do here." Hey, do we? We've got a couple minutes here. Do you want to go ahead and shut it down, Steve?
Say that again. I'm sorry.
Should we go? Let's go ahead and you want to go ahead and shut it down here?
Oh, we can do that. That's fine.
Okay. Fine. Well, folks, thanks so much for hanging out with us today. I sure do appreciate it. And Steve, we're glad you got your ticket to heaven punched, but we've still got more questions that folks want to be asking you next week. So we're glad that you're all right there. And folks, if there's anything really that we could, there you go. I thought I had made a funny joke. I thought I cracked a joke when I was doing, mule, get out of here, get out of here.
That's why I was gagging a little bit.
My comedy.
You did it right when I was taking the swallow. I mean, it flat knocked me out.
Wow. Oh, my goodness. Folks are loving on you here in the comments. Folks, thanks so much for hanging out with us today. We appreciate it. We will be back next week. And, be praying for my comedy, that my comedy would get better and it doesn't cause Steve to choke on his coffee. God bless everyone. Take care. Bye-bye.